For me, the Everest is actually the dark horse in this trilogy. And what I mean by that, we've had the new Ranger, we've had the new Raptor. This Everest is only the second generation Everest that Ford's brought onto the market. They tested the waters with generation 1, and I think it's been such a fantastic success that they've decided to bring out a second generation. And they've made a lot of improvements in all the right places. They've really listened to what the customers had to say. They've increased the towing capacity of this vehicle. They've taken the styling to a whole new level, and I just can't wait to show you a little bit more about this car. Looking at the back of the car and just talking about the styling, they've brought the two taillights together via this one center strip. It is really all the style at the moment. If you see a lot of the new cars, and cars are a little bit like fashion, I guess, in that when the fashion goes one way, a lot of the manufacturers try to follow it, and in this case it really works. They've put the Platinum name all the way through the back here, and these diagonal lights just add a lot to the styling of the rear of the vehicle. Your reverse camera that sits just underneath the badging over there, and the Ford logo. Park sensors at the back. If we look carefully, they've actually gone to a 6-sensor system. So again, that same wraparound functionality that we've become accustomed to with this new range of Fords. It gets the Everest badge over there, the 4-wheel drive badge over there, and in the center, the Platinum. High-mounted stoplight with the rear washer. Rear recovery point over here, hidden by this compartment. Tailgate release. So the power tailgate standard on the Platinum, and the 7 seats, which are standard from the Trend upwards. And then they're an option in the Ambiente. Looking at the side of the vehicle, we've got this roof rail that runs all the way from the front to the back. It is silver on the Platinum, and that is to tie in with the styling cues of the car. So it ties in with the silver alloy rims, the silver trim that runs along the bottom and the back over there, and again the silver finish along the bottom. It's not that evident in this particular car because this is the aluminium silver color. So the two silvers do kind of blend in together, but it is more predominant on colors like the Equinox bronze and the black. The side step over here, similar to Wildtrak, so it gets the dual tone side track with the black at the top, and again the silver finish running down the sides. You've got the privacy glass that covers the middle row seats as well as the rear seats. Color coded door handles, the Platinum badge down the side here. Not overstated, but just enough to stand out and distinguish the car or differentiate it. Color-coded mirrors with 360-degree view cameras and your puddle lamps. Badging on the vent here, along with the engine denomination, in this case V6. So Platinum and Sport only come in the V6. If you want the bi-turbo option, you're looking at the Trend or the Ambiente. On the Everest Platinum, the wheel flares are color-coded, so they're not black like in the Rangers. Platinum only gets the 21-inch rim, and you can option in, it's a no-cost option, but you've got to pick it from the factory, an all-terrain tire. This one is what we'd call a standard or more city tire. The front grille is really in keeping with the new Ranger, the new Raptor. What I like about these front grilles is that they haven't really differentiated too much between Ranger, Raptor, and Everest. They made a statement that these three vehicles are all part of the same family, and they share a lot of this front grille and a lot of the styling cues. Platinum, one of my favorites is that they do put the Platinum badging running across the front on the bonnet here. Does look really classy. The blue Ford badge in contrast to the black one that the Performance Raptor gets. Even though the overall styling is the same as the Rangers, it does actually get its own unique grille. They have not gone with the overly accented honeycomb that you find in the Ranger. Platinum comes with the Performance LED headlights. They are adaptive headlights. They can bend around corners. They're not auto high beam, they're dynamic. So they're actually designed to stay in high beam, and when there's oncoming traffic, they actually bend around the cars on the road so that you still maintain your high beam on without distracting the oncoming vehicle. The front sensors, again, 6-sensor system, really well positioned sensors here on the side, because really if you were ever going to bump into anything, this is where you touch first. Over here you've got the radar, their air intakes to cool the radiators in there and just form part of the air intake of the grille. Under the bonnet, if any of you have looked at any of the videos on the next gen Ranger, you'll see that when you pop the bonnet on the Everest, it's all Ranger underneath here. So the V6 engine, the same air intakes, the same covers on the engine, the battery in the same location, your washer fluid bottle that's been very cleverly tucked away into this fender over here to make space for a second battery right there. The engine's 184 kilowatt. It's a V6 turbo with a 10-speed automatic gearbox. All right, looking underneath, we've got recovery points left and right. These are rated recovery points, so they're designed to be able to pull the car out independently. Bash plates in the front. First thing that jumps out is that they're not metal, so they'd be more in line with a city SUV, I guess, than essentially an off-roader primarily. And you've got the engine bash plate over here. These could potentially be upgraded to steel if you were thinking about taking this car off-road on a more consistent basis. Moving a little bit further back to the transfer case, again there's room here for another bash plate, but it's not standard from the factory. Everest has also come out 50 mils this way and 50 mils that way, and they've used in the front the same suspension as the Ranger. Control arms are not cast, they're tubular metal, so they are really strong, but they're actually hollow inside, so they give that weight saving and make the steering more responsive. The front knuckles look like they're made out of aluminium, so a move away from the cast iron ones that were in the previous generation. And just remember, this is only the second generation Everest. Really impressive for what it is. The coils in the front with the shock absorbers running through the coil springs. The coils are outside of the chassis on the front suspension. On the rear suspension, they're inside the chassis. But interestingly, the shock absorber runs through the coil in the front. In the back, it doesn't. Front differential made out of aluminium. Again, to better disperse heat and weight saving. So these cross arms run diagonally this way, connecting the left and the right hand side of the chassis, plus these perpendicular beams that run this way. So the big differences with the Everest and the big changes from Ranger to Everest is really in the rear suspension. So where Ranger has a leaf spring, this goes to a coil and a traditional shock absorber. Shock absorber is not running directly through the coil spring. So the coil spring seems to be in a little bit, and the shocks are on the outside of the coils. The only reason I can think for that is to improve ride comfort and improve road holding, because certainly from a space saving point of view, it's not the ideal coupling of the two, so it would have to be for comfort. So AdBlue gets its own tank in Everest. For emission standards in Australia, Everest has to have AdBlue because it's not considered a commercial vehicle. That tank sits separately over here with the fuel tank sitting a bit further up. They both fuel up via the same flap at the top, but divert to two separate tanks. Full-size spare wheel with a 5th alloy rim on this Platinum that we're looking at here today. Electric rear park brake, so you can see the controllers over there, same like the Ranger and the Raptor. One thing I did want to point out is that the suspension at the back of the Everest is more akin to the Raptor, I would say, than the Ranger, except for the Fox suspension. But the rest of the setup is more similar to Raptor than it is to Ranger. So the Platinum that we got here today doesn't have a touring pack, which means it's not fitted with a tow bar or a brake controller from the factory. If you want that standard option fitted from the factory, you do have to option it in. What they have done is they've upgraded the towing capacity of the Everest. So where the old one was doing just a smidge over the 3-ton mark, this one is a full 3.5 ton, equal to the Ranger. So they have increased the towing capacity of the new Everest. Looking at the interior, the Platinum gets its own unique finish, leather with the unique stitching, the Platinum badging running across the top of the seat. Through the door, you get this unique wood grain finish look over here with the white stitching and the mood lighting. You get the memory seats, you get all your window controls and mirror controls on the door. It gets the same door handle as the Ranger, and I must say that this is a very intuitive place to put a door handle. The brain always wants to do things backwards, and a lot of the times when you climb inside the car and you pull the door shut from here, instinctively your hand wants to go back to the same place when you want to open the door. The steering wheel has a really high quality leather finish with the white stitching that continues through there. You get the honeycomb vents in the front here that you get from the Ranger, but you've also got a dual tone finish on the vents from the piano black to the aluminium silver. The roof lining on the Everest is black, so you get the black roof lining with the black dash and the black seating, and it's the all black interior, which might seem at first thought that it's a little bit overwhelming, but really it's not, because there's just enough touches of wood grain finish, aluminium, white stitching, soft touch, premium quality materials to just bring it all together. And even though it's primarily all black, there's just enough of everything else so that it's not overwhelming. Looking through the center console all the way up to the screen, the dash, the steering wheel, everything inside Everest says that it's come from the same stable as the Ranger. You've got your controller over here, the RON controller to do the different drive modes. You've got your electric park brake. You've got your auto stop start functionality. You've got your self park button, your e-shifter, as well as the same dials and controls running around the bottom here. Again, I really like the fact that they've left some of these mechanical dials in here. I find it really useful. I've been driving the Ranger, which is the same setup inside here, and I do find these manual dials come in really handy when you're driving and you want to keep your eye on the road and just get your hand down here and feel your way through these dials and make the adjustments that you need to make. The steering wheel is telescopic as well as height adjustable. In terms of the digital screens, you get the 12-inch center screen over here, same as the Raptor, and another 12-inch vertical screen in the center. We'll go through a little bit more detail on those. If you want to have a look at the how-to videos on how these screens work, have a look here. The Bang & Olufsen sound system. It's actually a 12-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. So it's got the tweeters over here. It's got the speakers in the center here. So in total, Platinum gets a 12-speaker system. And when you go down to the Sport, still an impressive 10-speaker system. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Also wireless charging in the center console over there. Glove boxes. Again, you've got your top glove box with a very premium finish and the Platinum badging over there. And your bottom glove box there. Platinum also has the cup holders. The mats have the Platinum branding that run through them. This is the middle row of seats. As you know, the Everest is actually a 7-seater, so there is a third row. So look, this is the second row. The second row gets the same handles in the door, the central locking controls over here, the electric windows, the premium finish on the seating. In the center console, one of my favorites is you've got the heated seats for the second row of passengers. That's controlled over here. Your aircon dial in the center, as well as a USB and a USB-C charging point. Center armrest over here, 3-point seat belts all the way through. The panoramic sunroof on the Platinum. So this slides, giving you access room here to access the third row of seats. So you get another 2 vents here for the third row of seat, which brings the air conditioning air all the way back to the rear passengers. You've also got another cabin light there, as well as cup holders for the third row passengers. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and if there's anything else that you want us to cover, again, let us know about it. Thank you for watching.